Okay, for this segment we're going into free weights. We're going to start in the standing position. We're going to use a very small set of dumbbells. With our rotator cuff, when we start to use free weights, we still want to stay with a small grouping of weight, because if we overactivate our deltoid, we get that gliding up first and then the arm moves. That can produce an impingement. So in order to remove some of the intensity of our traps or our deltoid motion, we start with slow, small weights. So go ahead and take both dumbbells, palms forward, and I like a palms forward, palm up motion because it takes the orientation of this bone and the large greater tuberosity away from the acromial bone, which creates that impingement of our tendon, and that's the benefit of the thumb up or palm up position. So now we're just going to go up, and we don't have to go any higher than our shoulder level. Do both at the same time. And what we want to do is, again, focus on that back and down position, and if the patient can't handle a straight forward position, they just move it to the angle that they need it to reduce the pain. So go down and up right there. Okay, so that's a nice standing, easy movement for the patient to do. If that hurts, all we have to do is change the orientation of the hand a little bit, maybe a thumb up position, and now we go and do the same movement. Okay, nice, slow, steady movement, shoulders back and down. We're not wanting to have any problems with our shoulder. If there was a problem that occurs, go ahead and put your arms down. What the patient might see, or what we see as a therapist, is the shoulder starts to elevate first as the patient moves. That early hiking is what we don't want. That's the cue we have to teach a patient so that we get them to do this back and down position, so as they begin to elevate, the shoulder stays down. That helps us avoid that impingement syndrome. Patients do that because of pain, and that's usually an unconscious motion. Sometimes they have to watch themselves inside of a mirror to see that actually happening, so that they can recreate the better movement with the shoulders back and down. Okay, so now we're going to go into a lying position. Okay, now we're going to do the segment where we do dumbbell exercises for the shoulder, rotator cuff, but in the side lying position. We're going to use only a 3-pound dumbbell. We want to make sure that the rotator cuff gets more work than the deltoid and the traps. If you go too heavy, you'll start to see that elevation, and we don't want that. So we're going to ask the patient to hold on to the dumbbell. The palm has to be facing down, the elbows straight. Patient's head should be somewhat relaxed, and then again, shoulder back, shoulder down position, good posture. So we're going to do a 30-degree side-lying raise. So up about 30 degrees to about there, and then down, and then up. Nice, slow, and steady, just like that. And we do about sets of 10. And the idea here is the supraspinatus muscle is most active in the first 30 degrees of this abduction movement. Abduction means you're moving away from the midline. And that's what the supraspinatus will do. Then we take the arm, bend it to 90 degrees, and we try to keep the elbow supported on the waist. If the person has a very deep cut here in the waist because they have a nice thin waist, then you can support that or fill that in with a towel, and then that gives them some support for the rest of the arm so that they can maintain good posture here. You want to keep the elbow down, okay? So now we let the weight come down, and then we go up. Up a little higher, and then down slow. We want to see the weight go down very slow here. We don't want to do this too fast because it's a very light weight, and we want the rotator cuff to feel this. If you notice that the elbow is lifting even with the pad here, then we have to restructure and re-cue the patient to keep this elbow down as they lift. If they lift the elbow before they raise the weight, then they're doing the movement incorrectly. So we want to keep the elbow down as the weight comes up. Great. Now, this is a hand weight. Most people have a small, inexpensive hand weight, but I also prefer a sandbag for the reason that you can take the lower part of the forearm out of the way with the grip of the hand. So now, if you focus all the effort on the shoulder and not holding on to an object, the patient feels it more in their shoulder and the supraspinatus muscles. So try that. Good, so 30 degrees. Now we want the patient to really focus on this movement, and if they can relax their hand and forearm, they'll notice that there's a difference between the dumbbell and something like a sandbag. Sandbags aren't the only thing that can be used. You can do almost any kind of light object that can tie around the wrist like that. Okay, perfect. So those are two really important exercises for the rotator cuff, getting it back in shape, using a free weight object. We did it both in the standing, now this is side lying. Now we're going to go into another movement. Let's go ahead and go to the next segment.